It was at the time a very radical newspaper. It would not be as radical today, I suppose, but in those days, extremely radical. In fact, the first 12 issues were printed by the Gibraltar Post printing works, but we were thrown out for being too radical. The following 19 issues were printed by the Gibraltar printing works. Again, we were expelled for being too radical. And from then on, we had to do the printing ourselves by hand, which was a very laborious, time-consuming job. And we maintained this until 1975, when we printed the last one. The first one had been printed in July '66. So all in all, a number of years. And the periodical was meant to create awareness amongst young people as to their rights and how to tackle the unfairness of the system. We used to print 500 copies, and these were sold within a couple of days. So, I mean, all these things helped to create an atmosphere which culminated in the general strike of '72.
There was an international movement, wasn't there, towards better workers' rights, alongside a number of other international movements that you sort of took strength from, right?
There was a huge breakthrough at the time, and young people all over Europe and elsewhere began to demand their rights. I think the time was ripe for that kind of activities throughout, the industrialized world. History takes 2 steps forward, 1 backwards, and progress is not steady all the time. But you create a sort of thinking pool, that people can draw on to. Now we seem to be going backwards because of recession, because of the war in the Ukraine, because of there's a lot of apathy as well, individualism. But I think that sooner or later younger people will pick up from where we left.
For somebody who didn't experience it, what was the atmosphere like? What was the ambiente like?
I would use the word electric. There was a vibrancy there that was contagious. The pay and the conditions that were achieved, I think, were essential and very important. But I would go beyond that. I think that the general strike created a kind of mentality, atmosphere, which had not been there before. And it empowered the workers to continue to demand their rights. It's not something that came to an end and that was it. It did create an awareness. It did create encouragement to continue the fight. And that to me is as important as the gains we made in the way of pay and conditions.